Hi, you know who I am. I'm Dr. Dieri Pichardo Johansson, and today I am delivering the last part of the series with things I wish I knew before quitting medicine. And the topic is about standards and self-worth. And I'd like to start with a quote that changed my life years ago. It was a quote by Don Miguel Ruiz that I read that said, "Nobody treats you worse than you treat yourself. If they did, you would have left immediately." And that quote impacted me at the time because I was in what I thought it was a bad relationship. I actually called it an emotionally abusive relationship. And after reading that, I realized that any mistreatment I had put up with or I had endured was matching what I thought I deserved. If that person accused me of not being a good housewife, not cooking enough, not cleaning enough, that was echoing that old fashioned Dominican lady inside me that raised me saying, "You have to be a good housekeeper or you're not worthy." If I was put down or dismissed or insulted, it was because inside me, a little part of me said, "Yeah, that's true. I am that goofy, or I am not that big of a deal." And realizing that was a game changer for me. Why am I saying, bringing that example when we're talking about medicine? Well, because to my shock and surprise, after I left that bad relationship, I found myself realizing that already in a happy relationship, I thought I had learned the lesson. I realized I had continued the same pattern at my workplace. And that brings us back to what started this series. That story about that day when I was in a shareholders meeting, when my partners and I had to decide about buying a very expensive piece of equipment for the practice. And part of them said, "We have to buy the cheapest possible machine so we can save money," without asking, is that machine the best for the patients? Or saying, "We have to buy the most expensive machine so we can stick it to the competition and be better than them," without asking, is that choice going to bankrupt us or make it hard for us to make payroll? And when I try to raise my hand and say, "Excuse me, I think we are not thinking clearly," and someone said, "Shh, you don't know what you're talking about," I shut up immediately. Why? Because there was a voice inside me that said, "Yeah, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm bad at business. I don't even want to try to learn business. I no, they're right." That everything started with the voice inside me. That other story I said last time when the accountant came to me and said, "You are not making enough money for the practice." A part of me was echoing the voice, "Nothing I do is ever good enough." Of course, that sounds familiar. Yeah, of course. That was the same voice that had pushed me through medical school, through make the best grades ever. So no honor, no certificate, no award, no accomplishment, no board certification was enough. I needed to keep proving myself. So I want to invite you to reflect on that in your life. How many times has someone treated you bad, and deep inside you have allowed it because it kind of echoes what you were telling yourself? If someone dismisses you, how many times have you dismissed yourself? If someone doesn't value, appreciate you, doesn't really realizes how the good job you do, when was the last time you did that for yourself? And goes back to the integrity, what we were talking about last time. When you know you're doing the right thing, when you know you're doing your best and you have good intentions, nobody can put you down. You know you're working in alignment with your values. And very often we see the case of someone who was in a bad relationship or in a bad job, moves away, moves to a new situation, and finds exactly the same person, the same type of person she was married to, the same boss, and it seems that situation is repeating itself. That was the change that happened from the outside. When the change happens from the inside out, is irreversible. We learn the lesson. And I invite you to think about that, something you were able to change in your life that was permanent. Perhaps you were in a bad situation for a long time and you were uncomfortable or you were unhappy, but one day something snapped inside you and you said, enough. That is the type of change from the inside out, generated by growth. When we raise our standards, when we raise our sense of self worth, that generates the long lasting change. And a beautiful quote that I heard recently says it all. A mind once expanded never goes back to its original size. That is the type of change I invite you to create more in your life. So, no matter what problem you're facing, what dissatisfaction you have in your career, in your personal life, if there is something you're unhappy with, starts with changing from the inside out your sense of self worth, the dialogue you're having with yourself, the standards of what you're willing to tolerate. And if you need help figuring that out, you know where to find me. Send me a message. I hope you enjoyed this series. Please let me know any other topics you want me to talk about, any other content you like me to create. Send me a message. I'll be happy to incorporate it and I would love to hear from you. Talk to you soon.